right, good afternoon, everyone. We are here on Public Square. We are here to march for access. My name is Chris Garr, along with Beth Glass over to my left with the bright orange shirt. We are the co-chairs of the Northeast Ohio Coalition of Disability Organizations, NOCDO, formerly ADA Cleveland. This is our second annual March for Access, and today we are asking for greater access for the arts. So to get our program started, hopefully you've all bedazzled your shirts, your wheelchairs, your walkers, your canes. You are ready to rock and roll and take a nice stroll, a nice loud and proud stroll through the streets of downtown Cleveland. We want to hear from a handful of people who have important things to say. So to start our speaker panel for today, we have from the City of Cleveland, Director of Community Relations, Angela Woodson. Angela.
Good morning, everyone. Don't we have a beautiful day today? Yes, it's exciting. It's exciting. First, we want to congratulate you on your second walk and your March for Access, but also we want to recognize the 40 years of Cuyahoga County's Committee for Persons of Disabilities, 40 years of dedication that we appreciate. And I wanted to make sure I said that on behalf of Mayor Justin Bibb in his absence. Please know that you are 15% of this city. We take you very seriously about this city. We need you to keep your advocating for this city to be accessible for all. That's including City Hall down the street. So continue to hold us accountable as public access facilities to make sure we are being welcoming and sensitive to the needs of everyone. So enjoy the walk today. Know that we're here for you, especially the Community Relations Department that feels we're your partner. And we're looking forward to continuing the work. Take care.
Thank you, Director. Next, a local artist who has a disability and will be sharing some words. Please welcome Regina Dorfmeyer.
There we go. I got it. Can you hear me, everybody? Did I tear everything up, y'all?
No, that was me. That was 100% me tearing
Okay.
things up.
And here we have Chris.
Breaking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Regina E. Dorfmeyer. The E is not for excellence, it's for Evelina. I'm a low vision finger painting textural artist. I started my art career very late in life, in my 60s, as a client at the Cleveland Sight Center. And then I began working for the Cleveland Sight Center. The next thing you know, I was an artist for the Cleveland Sight Center, designing greeting cards yearly, and they were distributed all over the country. And I did that for about 5 years. And then a client came up and saw my art and said, you know, you should get in Art Possible Ohio. You should apply for the Art Expressions Ohio. And I met a woman named Megan Fitz. Through there, I became an artist. I won my first immersion artist contest. And then after that, another one and another one. With my fingers, with 10 fingers, painting, I paint textural paint, oil paintings that are thick and sumptuous like cake. You can take your finger and it peeks up. You can touch my paintings. You can dive right into them, and they make you feel. I've got the Beck Art Center. Right now I have a show of 12 paintings that Ed Gallagher was so gracious to give me, to advocate for me. I'm here to talk about my Holy Trinity, Art Possible Ohio, the Cleveland Site Center, and Beck Center for the Arts. They made me who I am right now, a bad artist, I mean a good artist. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you, Chris. And I guess that's all I have to say. Let's march. And oh, I have one more thing to say. I had to take paratransit. I had to take paratransit back and forth to work to the Cleveland Site Center. Come on, paratransit. You can do better. You know what I'm talking about, okay? Now, we know, what is that, the hold music. We know Cisco hold music a little too much. Let's do better. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Should have played that paratransit music for the prelude. See if we can get everybody fired up for a march. I'm going to now fix this. I'll expect applause in a second. There it is. And thank you. For years, our kind of crowning annual event was at Wade Oval Wednesday. And also for years, at University Circle Incorporated, our friend at Wade Oval Wednesday was none other than today's county executive, Chris Ronayne. Chris is taller than I am, so Chris is going to take the microphone off the stand. Please welcome County Executive Chris Ronayne. Take it right off the stand, buddy.
How you doing out there at Public Square? All right, well, I am glad to be. What a beautiful day in CLE. I have shared the stage with Chris on many occasions because we started, I think, with 8825, and we kept rolling and kept rolling and kept rolling. How many of you have been out to Wade Oval, the other great park in the city? All right. Well, what we did is we tried to make a concert for all and make it accessible for all, and we just kept going. Folks, I've been lucky to become your county executive. I work for you. I've been 9 months on the job, and let me share with you a vision. A vision that Cuyahoga County becomes the most accessible county in the nation. We want to be a place where our infrastructure works for persons with all different mobility. We want to be a place where our arts, our spectacular world-class arts community is accessible to all. So we just celebrated Welcoming Week in Cuyahoga as a part of a national movement to welcome all to our community. And why I talk about that is because today matters. We need to make sure that our county is ever accessible to all in every way that you live every day, that we have sidewalks that work, that we have no impediments to your getting around, that we have doorways that you can get through, and exhibitions in our museums that you can access, and that you yourself can become better access to the arts. So I want to say to you, our community is fully committed to accessibility. As I stand on this stage, I love this sign because it is this group that advocated to make this very stage accessible to all. And you did it. I didn't see that sign here last year, and it's here this year. Congratulations. Since Chris brought up University Circle, I just want to bring up a couple of vignettes about things that we did together in University Circle. There's a gentleman here by the name of Steve Hansler, and he is and his partner Beth over at Max Housing, Maximum Accessible Housing, Max Housing. They inspired me in University Circle, and it was a few years ago when there was a person going through one of our museums, and I know this museum would be proud to have their name named. They were the Museum of Contemporary Art, and they had an exhibit that was not accessible for persons in chairs. And they did something about it. And they put us all together to think about how we design for fully accessible communities. And so I thank Steve and Beth for starting to inspire me on a concept called universal design. And you, your loved ones with the lived and learned experiences, have lived it every day. We need to make sure that our buildings, as we design, have a coded design that works for accessibility. When I say code, the building code says the doorway is accessible. There's access ramps within. There's wide hallways so people can navigate. There's not obstruction. And that started over at the Museum of Contemporary Art, and we started having a conversation about accessible housing, and we had a conversation about accessible infrastructure, and we got to a point of universal design, the point being design for all, and you will have the most accessible community in the country. My stepfather is hard of sight. He's 82 years old. He is legally blind and then some, but he gets around in the community he's in the house he's in, because we focused on a home that works for him, in a community that works for him, in transportation access that works for him, and he's living and aging successfully in place. Shouldn't that be the goal for all? This is a goal for all, to be the most accessible county in the country. So work with me. I'm your county exec. I learn from you every day. I love working for you, and I want to work together to create a universally designed community that, yes, promotes better access to the arts and better access through our communities, so that we truly are a complete community. Thank you to the coalition that makes this happen today. I look forward to walking and rolling with you. Chris Ronayne, your county exec, and I just want to say one more time, thank you.
Thank you, Executive Ronayne. This year marks the 40th anniversary of another very important and impactful committee in Cuyahoga County. Over there, you see the sign celebrating 40 years of advocacy. The Advisory Committee on Persons with Disabilities. And to talk about their good work is my co-chair at NOCDO, Beth Glass.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you today to Vanessa Pesic, who is the chair of the Cuyahoga County Advisory Committee on Persons with Disabilities. We seem to like really long names in this community. So Vanessa is our great leader at the CCACPD and makes sure that we focus on all of the important things, access to voting, make sure we know our voting rights and share them with each other. Yes, working with every building that is funded by the county, making sure they are universally designed and as accessible. We try and make them as accessible as we want them to be. And there's employment and transportation and lots of different things that the committee works on. After the march, stop by that tent, talk to Vanessa, and learn how you can join the effort. There's lots of ways that you can volunteer and be part of this great work for the next 40 years or so. So thank you, Vanessa, and thank you to that committee.
And now we go slightly off script. Someone else needs celebration today. So in 2015, a group of people came together to figure out how to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. That group was spearheaded by none other than Melanie Hogan. So Melanie, you could slowly make your way up the stage. You have to. Also, Melanie, if you'd like, you could utilize the very universal ramp that is new to the stage. If you'd like to slowly show it off on your way. Melanie Hogan is the executive director at LEAP, Linking Employment Abilities and Potential. Melanie will be retiring from LEAP, and she's the one that started this group, ADA Cleveland. She deserves full credit for that, for the amazing work we continue to do. And certainly Melanie has been a mentor and a leader to all of us who are here today in Greater Cleveland, in the state of Ohio, and beyond in terms of disability rights, access, and advocacy. So for all your amazing years of great work, Melanie, keep it up, because we know you're kind of not going to go anywhere, really. And thank you. Let's hear it for Melanie Hogan. All right. Our next speaker was around that table in 2015. She is synonymous with the arts community, not the disability arts community, with the arts community in Greater Cleveland and certainly beyond. She is the leader, founder, and executive director of the Company and School for Dancing Wheels. Please welcome Mary Verdi Fletcher.
Hopefully I won't make this fall over. I want to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for being here with all of you in support of this march, which signifies pride and continued quest for disability rights. It's reminiscent of the days we took to the streets to demonstrate, capture buses, and make our rights for equality visibly known. In fact, my husband just reminded me it was the street back here that we captured buses in Cleveland to make them accessible. After 43 years in the arts, it's hard to believe that there's still much work to be done to make the arts fully inclusive and accessible to all. When Chris asked me to speak, I thought it a privilege to bring to the forefront the benefits and inclusionary call for full and equal access in the arts. Access to the arts is a right, not a privilege. It's been over 4 decades since the inception of the Dancing Wheels Company and School. And in those many years, thank you, it's a long time. I'm probably one of the oldest wheelchair dancers in the world. I've seen major changes in attitudes and acceptance. There was a time when dance and disability did not seem to go together in the minds of art aficionados. Most had narrow-minded approaches as to who could or should participate. As a child growing up with a disability, I was privileged to be born into a family of artists. So even though there were no dance studios that I could train in, I had my mother who instilled in me the beauty and passion of dance. She would create little dances for my brother and I in our family room, and my bedtime stories were those of her and my dad traveling throughout the country performing in the vaudeville days. When people asked about my disability, she would say, "You tell them I'm not disabled, I'm Mary." For many years, I didn't realize or understand what she meant, but years later, I realized that she wanted me to be seen for all of who I was, a woman, a dancer, a businesswoman, and much more, who happened to have a disability. Today, I'm not only proud of my disability and my artistry, I know how important it is to be a part of the advocacy to bring about greater awareness and change for access and inclusion. Several years ago, the National Assembly of State Arts Agencies came together to create mandates that reflect on the positive impact that the arts have on our communities nationwide. And they are, the arts help define what it is to be an American. The arts help contribute to quality of life and economic growth. The arts help us to inform, educate, and to bring about citizenry. Arts and creativity make us stronger as individuals, as families, communities, states, and as a country. They are the backbone of innovation, prosperity, and thriving people and places. In a document published by the National Assembly, Representative Betty Cullen at that time stated, "It is our wounded warriors, people recovering from stroke, or a child who has a speech challenge, or someone who has just lost someone very special in their life. It is the arts, through song, through music, and dance, and other forms of expression that allow us to heal, to recover, to grow, and to become more resilient. Another representative said, arts and arts education make our country stronger. They make us a country of innovators, and no matter what their chosen field, whether it's a trade, whether it's a profession, whether it's a service, whether it's manufacturing, young people who engage in the arts will rise to the top because of creative skills they have developed, nurtured, and harnessed. I remember when I left Services for Independent Living after working there for 10 years, advocating and creating advocacy efforts to create Dancing Wheels. Someone said to me, "It's a shame that you're leaving your work as an advocate." And I replied, "I never stopped being an advocate. In fact, I think my work is stronger by bringing artful messages of inclusion and equality to the masses through our performances, assembly-based programs. Since our inception, over 3.5 million people in the world have seen and felt the power of the arts and have witnessed what full inclusion, strength, ability, and grace look like. Almost instantaneously, they have changed their perceptions. My hope is that that change in perception will lead to greater understanding and access. Our young people are leaders of tomorrow, and we can change their misconceptions and stereotypic attitudes at a very early age. Then our world will be more welcoming and a place of allyship. In a national convening of disabled artists, physically integrated dance companies, and arts organizations, it was determined that the biggest deterrent to full access for arts and disability was education and employment. It's appalling to learn that there are few to no colleges and universities with dance departments that have equal classes for people with mobility devices. And there isn't a means of testing, assessment, to offer dancers with disabilities a degree in dance. Generally, the process of learning to be a choreographer, dancer, or dance teacher is primarily through the programs offered in integrated dance companies. We should be exposing our children who have disabilities to all arts programming at a very early age, so they may choose a career in the arts if they so desire. We should be advocating for higher education to bolster curriculums to be more inclusive. We should advocate for all arts organizations to be more inclusive in all aspects of performing and programming and operations. We at Dancing Wheels established a teacher training certification program to help dance educators better understand how to create inclusive programming and to have a real hands-on practicum experience. But as a disability community, we need to band together to say it is not okay to exclude. Separate is not equal. And again, participation in the arts is a right, not a privilege. Not everyone here today is an artist or art patron, but we are all advocates for inclusion in all aspects of community living. And it's our right as citizens to have the choice to do whatever we so desire. Today, this month, and years to come, we appreciate and celebrate our freedoms and to take full advantage of opportunities. I think it's best said in a poem that really has no author. It's an unknown author. It's called The Creed to Independence. I do not choose to be a common person. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security, by being a kept citizen, humbled by the state who looks after me. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build to fail, and to succeed. I prefer the challenges of life to a doll. I will not trade my freedom or my dignity for a handout. It is my right, my heritage, to hold up my head, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefits of my creation, and face the world boldly and say, "This I have done." Thank you all for being a part of our heritage, prideful and everlasting. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mary. Couple things before we hear from our final speaker. Once we get back from our march, we're going to invite people to come up on the stage, and if you see the giant letters behind me that say all access, what you can do is write a little note about what you'd like greater access to and why. Sign your name. We'd like everybody to get a chance to use the fancy ramp, the well-built ramp that made the public square stage accessible for all of us. Also, Barrio will be here, so please, they were nice enough to come. Buy a few burritos, take a few burritos home. The art stations will be open if you want to do a little of that, and if you want a free blue t-shirt, definitely visit tent number 3, because we'd like to get rid of the shirts. You'll hear some poetry upon our return, and you'll hear from the sign choir. When we get back, they'll be performing 3 songs for all of us. Now, before we march, Mara's going to send us off. I would ask that our Grand Marshals, Sarah Steimley and Sapphire Murphy, if you guys kind of come off to stage right so you guys are in a good position to get us started. You guys will all line up after Mara speaks on the diagonal pathway towards Rockwell Avenue. We'll make it pretty obvious, and we have plenty of helpers to help guide you on the march. So, Mara looks like she's ready. Another great friend, not only to the arts community in Greater Cleveland, but certainly a huge ally to the disability community, a member of ADA Cleveland, a member of NOCDO, representing also now the City of Cleveland Department of Aging. I am pleased to present our final speaker, who will get us all fired up to march, Mara Lane.
Thank you, Chris. I don't want to hold. I'll get shaky. That's okay. Great. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Mara Lane, and I'm a disability educator, advocate, and a certified ADA coordinator. I had that certification before, it was cool. And I'd like to say Shana Tova. That means Happy New Year when translated colloquially, and Good Year when translated literally. Right now we are in the days of awe, the days between Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And during the days of awe, we engage in a process called teshuvah, or asking for forgiveness. That was a lot of vocabulary if you're not accustomed to it, but if you know me, if you're in my life, even a little bit, you know that I'm Jewish. It's a part of my identity, like being an advocate or being a theater artist or being a person with a disability. And it's something I'm proud of. It's something that I chose to identify with. Being Jewish is also something that I chose. Not being religiously raised in my household. In college, I sought out learning and community and exploration for myself. I studied theater at Kent State University. Go Flashes! Yeah, all right. And as much as I loved it, academics have never been my thing. I'm an artist, I'm a doer. I come at things practically with my own 2 hands. And I love to learn. But I'm also someone who has learning disabilities. My learning disabilities impacted my schooling, and like a lot of us with learning disabilities, I capital F failed since kindergarten so many classes. My learning disabilities were blamed on being lazy, on watching too much TV, on being compliant with the rules. Across the country, other kids were being helped for my same disabilities, so why didn't I get accommodated? After college, I jumped straight into a local nonprofit theater job. It was a dream career. I never thought that I would graduate, let alone work for an organization I'd literally written papers on, one with a mission focused on social justice. One of my favorite projects while I was working there was creating accommodations for people with disabilities when they came to visit us. That opened a can of worms that I've never even attempted to shut. The job was fast-paced, and it was fun, and it was really, really hard. And I got sick, and I stayed sick, and the stress of my job was unaccommodated. My new disability was unaccommodated despite being pleading with my supervisors. But why? I'm lucky. I feel so lucky to be a part of this disability community, this one right here. I get to take a really small part in molding it, and in the last 5 years, I have learned so much about our disability history. In fact, you can do the math, but the ADA is only 5 years older than I am. 504 is 22 years older than I am, and yet neither law made a tangible impact for me, for my disabilities. Laws can be known and forgotten, known and ignored. Teshuvah, from the beginning, if you remember, means forgiveness. But literally translated, teshuvah means return. It is Jewish law to return once a year, to return to yourself, to return to your values, return to your relationships to their state before being marred by injustice, by ignorance, by forgetfulness. Each year that we return here, we will remember the bus protests that took place. We will remember the protests that preceded us, the crawls and the sit-ins. We remember that without advocacy, without our voices, without our knowledge, the laws that we have fought so hard for can be forgotten, mistranslated. Art is an access is an art, access is emotional, it's human, it's a practicality that you have to come to with joy, with time, with want, and with a little bit of faith. It doesn't get a grade, and it doesn't get a deadline. The time for access is right now. The time to return to our values, to return to ourselves, it's right now. Now let's take that energy, let's take it to the street, the sidewalk, and let's march for what we deserve. Let's go, y'all, let's go.